and Finance together for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018. Do I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes? Mr. O'Brien and Wanda, thank you. Approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah. Okay. First order of business, are we setting this aside? Just table?
There's a handout.
There's a handout.
We're gonna hand out.
We're going to hand out the handout, and we're going to table it. Okay.
Oh, I got this.
Table. Number 2, resolution number 170, authorizing the Albany County Executive to enter into a lease agreement with the Albany Capital Trust.
That's right, I saw it yesterday.
Are we going to keep tabling this until you withdraw it, or what's going on?
Keep tabling until I can find a solution to have it move forward, but yeah.
Table. Number 3, local law I for 2018, a local law of the County of Albany to enact the requirements of the International Building Code requiring residential fire sprinklers in new construction with Albany County. Understand this did not get out of law.
Correct.
That's correct.
Do
Didn't get out of law.
He's the chairman right here.
Stable in law, so. But
well,
he's here.
Audit and Finance can act. If anybody has any questions.
Got Joe?
Paul?
Mr. Chairman, it's come to my attention that there is no fiscal impact statement here, and there's an evaluation currently going on by the county executive's office to try to figure...
The fiscal cost of the county of sprinklers?
No, the costs that are mandated on the county in the bill, and the positions that are necessary, and I would, rather than me say it, maybe I'd ask Mr. McLaughlin to
Mike, go ahead.
After the law
If
committee,
the sponsor would like to say something in response, he may. Paul?
Why don't you?
Yeah,
why don't you?
basically, the cost of the county is going to be offset by a sales tax credit on municipalities, if there is any.
Say that again, please. Paul?
The cost of the county will be offset by sales tax credits to the municipalities. If there are any municipalities that do not enact the legislation, the county would absorb that.
Do you want to come up to the table?
Yeah, could you come up to the table and maybe they can hear it?
Paul.
You can sit right here, Paul. Just come right here.
In your hand? Who said this stuff?
So would you explain this sales tax?
Yeah, the municipalities have an option of not enacting the regulations, the code enforcement. If they don't enforce it, then the county would take over that function, and then it would be billed back to the municipalities as an offset of sales tax revenues. So there's no cost to the county. The only cost that might be is the training costs, and the state chiefs are going to do that, and I've got a person who's going to donate the cost of that. So it's $1,000 for the initial training. So that's covered also, which would have been under $5,000, which would require a fiscal impact statement anyway.
Could this stuff be documented so we'll have a chance to read it and eyeball it and fill it out?
What was your document?
Everything you're talking about.
Well, it's in the law,
proposed.
but
It's in the law
yeah,
somewhere?
it's in the law, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions,
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Director,
let's have
to
it.
follow up on that?
Yeah, I with all due respect, what this basically says is if a municipality, Colony, Albany, the hill towns, does not want to enact the law, the entire responsibility falls on Albany County, and DPW staff have to be certified, trained, and hired. And then what Paul is saying is that's not a problem because we're just going to bill that back to the municipalities. So what you have is an unfunded mandate on all the 19 towns and cities should they choose not to participate. But I think, and we didn't get an opportunity for Mr. McLaughlin to speak, but I think we should know what the potential cost of staff could be.
Wanda?
So, I guess my question would be,
And then Mike will chime in.
my question would be, right now, there are sprinklers that are put into commercial buildings, okay? So, are we to say that those sprinklers are authorized or certified?
State law
by-
requires that.
But requires, but at the same time, who certifies that the sprinklers, because it seems like that's what we're talking about.
Regulates.
Well, no, it's more than that. It's,
But that's part of it.
That's part of it.
Okay?
Are you saying is it the same
Sponsor.
group that enforces commercial would also enforce?
Well, who does it?
residential?
Who does the commercial, and who does the burden fall on?
Paul, can you answer that
Yeah, the
question?
municipalities do enforcement.
Okay.
Okay.
So there is a cost, there is a cost.
No,
But sin-
they're already doing that.
Right, there's a cost, that's a cost.
Yes, right, yeah.
So they already have
Yeah, they have somebody
staff?
that does the municipal, the commercial things. And also, they have an option to require a third-party certification on this, so that if they, let's say the Village of Green Island wants to require a third-party certification, if you build a house in Green Island, you would have to provide them with third-party certification showing that the building met those requirements under NFPA 13D and the International Fire Code.
So certification is already in place?
They're already doing it for commercial, you're right. It may be, in some places, it may be a different person. I mean, depending on, like the city of Albany, when they have a fairly large code enforcement, they may have it split up.
So is that part of the permit process when somebody builds a house? Is it part of the,
Right, they have to pass, things like, you have to have ground fault interrupt in your kitchen and bathroom. I mean, that's in the International Fire Code and the State Fire Building Code. This particular piece of legislation was supposed to be put in, it was put in the International Fire Code that they had to require residential sprinklers. And New York State chose to pull it out of there, and they left in offsets. There was offsets that were done when they said, okay, we're gonna require sprinklers, or we're gonna say you can put in thinner sheet rock between the building and the garage, for example. I don't know all those trade-offs, but there's trade-offs were done. When New York State adopted the building codes, they normally do every couple of years, they take the International Fire Code and they adopt it in full. But this time, they took it, they didn't take the trade-offs out, but they took the sprinklers out. So in other words, you've got buildings now that are being built in New York State that are substandard because of the fact that they had trade-offs in the International Fire Code that were not put in the state building code. Which doesn't
Mr.
affect us.
Bergdorf has a point, I'm gonna agree with his point that we need to have a fiscal. And Paul, since it's not gonna go to the floor this month anyway, because I believe it did not get out of, it got out of public safety, I'm sorry, but not out of law anyway. So they'll give you a month to prepare any, fiscal justification and present that. If there's no cost, say that, other people can weigh in on that. And we'll deal with it again in terms of what this committee does next month.
So you're working on that one?
So, if, Paul, if you want to table it at the request of sponsor, or we can vote on it now.
I have some questions
So
for
we
him
do
to
need
vote
to-
on it.
What?
I have some questions for him if you're gonna vote on it.
Well, actually, we can't vote on it because we don't have a fiscal impact.
Oh, okay.
That's fine, so.
So,
Okay,
Table pending.
Can we hear from Mr. McLaughlin on it?
got a couple of seconds there, McLaughlin.
What's up, Mr. Chairman? Sorry.
Chair Mike, if you could.
Chair, okay.
Let's make it quick, please.
Chair?
We were asked by Mr. Bergdorf to
I just have,
opine on the fiscal cost of this.
So at the law committee meeting on Monday night, there was a request that DPW be consulted to see how this would impact their department after a one-day read. I'm sure you can imagine, it's not too detailed beyond they do suspect this will have an impact, and they will need further resources should a municipality.
How much is that impact?
Well, that's what's currently being
$5,000?
quantified. It would be positions, so they're trying to figure out, one, what positions of this kind are paid, and next month we should have a number. But I don't have that right now. I can just simply say that they're working on it, because it's been a day.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Lynn?
Did we not talk at another meeting also about contacting the 19 municipalities and finding out if they would require us to help them, and in which case, if it wasn't true that it was necessary, then there would be no fiscal impact?
Well, I
maybe-
think that was the
Is
point
that,
of it. They wanted to contact them to let them know that the bill was pending. That's,
Paul, if you would present the fiscal, then we can move, in this committee, if you think that there's not, it's below 5,000, That's fine.
Well,
And then we're gonna have, the members are gonna get a chance to vote on
You get that
this.
back to me?
They'll take all things into consideration, possible fiscal cost of the county, the merits of, I am a co-sponsor, so I will be supporting it, but, I think we're gonna have an up or down, that's what we're here for.
Can I,
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
in commercial buildings,
Yeah,
there's an annual inspection.
that's correct. It's not required
Is
under.
it, it's not required under
Yeah,
residential
right.
at all?
It's in the law right now. That was one of the things I tried to get out of there, and it's not out. So hopefully by the time we get up to next month, we'll get that resolved with council's office, because that was new.
So that might be an added cost as well, if you
Well,
have to do an annual.
I was
Annual
going to amend it
basis.
to take that out, and I did amend it to take it out, but didn't make it for some reason where,
Okay, and then,
I can give you a copy of that with the changes. if you'd like.
then the people that aren't on public water, they're on wells.
Right.
You wanna say something?
I mean, I
How
don't
is that
ask
going
questions.
to,
Well, they'll have to
affect the
put in a
ci-
tank, they have to put in a 500-gallon tank and a pump on it.
That's
So,
insane.
500, so,
they can do polypropylene, it can be plastic tank.
All right, Chris, the law chair, you have a question?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to, Paul, can you walk me through how the section 3 sub D is gonna work? The city of Albany, where I live, chooses not to pass this local law.
Yep.
Amador comes in and puts a big subdivision in, you know.
Across the street from my house.
Okay. So now the county is going to go in there on top of the city, our inspectors, and we're now gonna have to issue COs, whether or not.
If they choose not to do that, that's correct.
So how would that work if the city comes in and they say, this complies with city code, here's a CO? Then the county would come in, we'd look and say there was no sprinkler, then we would not issue a CO to the
Well,
builder?
They have to work, they gotta work with the municipalities, I mean, they don't have to work together, but if they are, if they decide they're not gonna do it, then yeah, the county would have to work with them to enact that part of it, so they can do the certification on the sprinklers.
I mean,
And I would hope that it doesn't happen, I mean, we need to leave that as a possibility, because, as you said, it's their option not to include it if they didn't want to.
I guess, and then my other question, and it's not, and then I'm gonna stop because I know we're busy. How are we even gonna know if a city or a town has buildings going on? We'll know whether the municipality has adopted the law, I understand that. But how is the county gonna know that the building is going on and the builders are complying and that we eventually have to go out there when it's substantially complete to inspect it? How is the county even gonna know that there's 30 units going up in Colony or 20 units in Gilliland from, whoever?
Well, if they didn't,
How are we gonna-
if they don't put it in, there's a provision for penalties if they don't put it in the building, so, if they could be penalized if we don't find out, if 2 years down the road, you find out they've.
I mean, it's a liability.
compliance, And there's a penalty in here for the fact that they didn't put it in.
then you have to go back and
All right, I would like to
retrofit.
end the discussion on this now. We'll see you next month, okay, Paul?
Okay, sure.
Number 4, authorizing an agreement with the Bethlehem Central School District, finally, regarding the purchase of property in the town of New Scotland. Anybody from the sheriff's office here?
That was tabled in public safety.
It's gonna be tabled. Oh, that was last minute, they were saying the capital was going. Number 5, resolution, why is that being tabled? Structural? Number 5, resolution number 220, authorizing the acceptance of payments from the Albany County Land Bank. This one is also being tabled at the request of the sponsor. Possible amendments. Number 6, resolution number 232, requiring equality of funding regarding the Albany County Legislative Grant Award Program. There's a sponsor here. I don't see the sponsor. We will table this. Number 7, resolution 235, establishing a municipal cooperative health benefit plan. This also is being tabled at the request of the sponsor. Conversation I had just 10 minutes ago, which is why I'm late. Current business, resolution number 280, authorizing Albany County's participation in the sales tax-free week for 2018. An item also tabled. 9, authorizing agreements regarding the 2018, by the way, was a correction made on the sales tax rate in the state? It's 4%, not 4.5%. Authorizing agreements regarding the 2018 Summer Youth Employment Program and amending the 2018 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget.
Thank
You have
you.
the floor.
Thank you. So the department is requesting approvals to enter into the necessary agreements to facilitate the 2018 Summer Youth Employment Program. So we received an allocation from the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance, OTDA, in the amount of $613,627. Counties have the option of facilitating the program themselves or assigning the funds to the Workforce Development Board to facilitate the program. And Albany County historically has allocated the funds to the WIB. In order to cover administrative costs,
Good night.
Oh, he is. He's
Lucy? I'm sorry, go ahead.
no problem. In order for the department to cover administrative costs associated with the coordination and implementation of the programming, we hold back $45,000 and the rest is assigned to the WIB. With that $45,000, $15,000 of that is for a contract with Cornell Cooperative Extension because they assist with coordination with the Ravina, Queens, Selkirk area in terms of work site agreements, as well as facilitating a fiscal component, which is a requirement for this summer youth employment funding. The remaining $30,000 is to cover administrative costs for the department associated with the overall coordination of the program. So we request approval to.
Questions from members of the committee? Questions from non-members? Who wants to move it? Mr. Higgins, seconded by Joe. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
10, amending resolution number 466 for 2017 regarding mental health diversion outreach and supported housing services and amending the 2018 Department of Mental Health budget. Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is an amendment, as you said, to a resolution passed last year. This is 100% state funding from the Office of Mental Health to amend support for the Homeless and Travelers Aid Society supported housing program.
Motion?
Move it.
Move it.
First, second. All in
Baby's-
favor?
baby
Aye.
needs- Baby
Opposed?
needs to be changed.
Number 12, adopting amendments to the 28, I'm sorry, number 11. Amending resolution number 470 for
Somebody has to.
2017 regarding housing, transportation, and case management services, and amending the 2018 Department of Mental Health budget.
Mr. Chairman, similarly, this is 100% state funding addition from the Office of Mental Health. This is for rehabilitation support services, and it amends a contract for 20.
Motion? Clay? Second? Willingham? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, Mrs. McKnight.
I was just curious. I understand that we're taking in some of the border people, and I know they're probably gonna have a psychiatric exam through the mental health department. Have you been contacted to review or assess some of these new people coming into our jail system?
I'm not aware of any new requests for mental health services at the jail. We're quite busy with Albany County residents at this point, so I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But I will check my emails.
Could you check, please? Because I think you're gonna be getting an email. Thank you.
All right.
Well, no, I think that there's the sheriff has she contacts
So he said the prison would Albany County.
Yeah, we have a series of 3 resolutions here we need to pass in this order. Number 12, adopting amendments to the 2018 to the 2022 Albany County Capital. That's the current 5-year capital plan that we're in right now. So these are nursing home amendments. You want to, Sean or
Yes, sir.
Larry, address this?
Number 12 and 13 are requests after the public hearing last night on amending the capital plan for 2018 through 2022 for a $22 million amendment to that plan for the nursing home component. We're requesting that be passed along with the authorization to bond, which is item number 13, and approval of the construction contract, item number 14. Larry is here for any questions upon the contract itself, and I can answer any capital issues if.
Questions from members? Mr. Higgins?
So what's the total cost of the project now?
$83,400,000.
What is it?
68.
83 million.
There's two parts of the project. There's a part of the project that's considered the certificate of need application that we submitted, and then there's a part of the project of approvals which the legislature gave us from 2014 to through 2017. That's outside of the certificate of need. All of those items collectively total approximately $83 million.
And how much of that is going to be reimbursable by the state or federal government?
Well, it comes through Medicaid reimbursement, and everything that we submit and that's been approved will be reimbursable. And that means they reimburse, what they reimburse is the interest on the bonds and the depreciation. Those two pay for the debt service, which is the total amount that the legislature is authorizing.
How long are the bonds for?
The bond, how long?
And how long?
20 years.
These are 20-year bonds?
20-year.
That, Mr. Higgins, that would be your requested level that where you would want a bond. You would want a bond with at the, whatever the capital project length of time their useful life is. The comptroller handles the bonding. He has not bonded specifically for that yet until the project is done, just so.
Just one more.
And how old is the existing nursing home?
46.
Built in 71.
Years. So we'll bond it for 46 years? Chris, go ahead.
So, I mean, is it your position that in 15 or 17 or 20 years down the road, that it's our hope, I guess, that the federal government or the state's going to continue to reimburse? I mean,
It's part of the law.
what?
It's part of the reimbursement law and regulations. That's how nursing homes have been reimbursed since 1965.
Sure, but that's not to say it's not going to change. My tax bracket just changed last year like that, you know? It just seems like a lot of money for a pretty old facility. And I mean, I'm a little concerned what's going to happen down the line. I mean, there might not even be Social Security for some of my age.
These are the laws and regulations that are in place. They've been in place since 1965. They haven't changed for the most part as it applies to capital reimbursement for nursing homes. Once they approve a project, it's going to be paid for. What you're suggesting is that the regulations could change, and that's a possibility, but it's not going to change for those that are already in the program and have state approval. It could change for others that submit a certificate of need, and they could say, we're not reimbursing it, we're not approving it. But once the New York State Department of Health approves a project, it will be paid for.
Okay, that's
Guaranteed.
Are there any other questions Ms. Willingham?
Yes, okay, so
And then, Nick, you have a question?
I know that we're doing renovations, but there's also a new facility. I'm reading here. It says by creating this new facility. It's to add an addition to the existing nursing home. So, which will.
We are replacing 125 existing beds. That'll be total new construction. There'll be biaxial rooms, it's approximately 125. Will be replaced, and that's the rooms that are now being utilized in the high-rise. The high-rise will no longer be utilized. We're adding 6 additions, 1 to each wing, A, B, C, D, E, and F, and that will make up 6 quadrants of rooms. The original nursing home will all be private rooms, because right now they're undersized and very small for 2 people to live in. They'll all now be single-bedded rooms and totally renovated, and then the new rooms will be biaxial rooms, and for the most part, all double-bedded rooms, but total new construction.
Okay, so how many beds
Total 250.
After the 125 new?
The license is not changing. It's 250 now, and it'll remain 250.
Mr. Mendick?
I just want to make sure that I heard you correctly, and I don't want to assume that I did. You're stating that, excuse me, the entire $83.5 million is going to be reimbursed.
If we spend it.
Okay, if you spend it. Whatever you spend, you're going to be reimbursed.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Let's move it.
No? Second, Mr. Bergner? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chairman is opposed. It passes. Number 13, authorizing a bond resolution regarding improvements at the Albany County Nursing Home. A motion, Mr. Higgins.
No, I
second.
have a question.
Question, Mr. Higgins.
Sean, do you know what we're at on our bonding limit right now?
Our constitutional limit,
Yeah.
the
What do we have outstanding right now?
The constitutional limit, and these are rough numbers, just so you can, and it's in your budget book, is approximately 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
I think our total right now is 300 to 350, and that's just in my ballpark. I can give you like
300 to 350, you think
somewhere
is
in there.
where we're at right now? Okay. That includes the TU Center?
Yes.
Okay,
That
thank
includes
you.
all the debt service
Oh,
or the debt outstanding by the county.
And that which is reimbursable as well?
Yes.
So that's
Yeah, yeah.
effectively. Any other questions, non-members? Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Move it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the chairman. 14, authorizing, motion passes. Authorizing an agreement with Jerzen Corp. Construction Group regarding the renovation project at the Albany County Nursing Home. Motion, questions? Questions?
No.
Motion?
Motion to move it.
Move it, second?
I got a question.
Question?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
So now that we went through, we bonded, well, when Monday comes, when we bonded, and now we have Jersey.
Barbecue grill.
So when is the shovel going in the ground? That's what I want to know.
Well, if when the legislature meets the second Monday of next month, and these items that have now been put in front of you get approved, we'll have a shovel in the ground within a week.
A week?
Yes.
1 week from Monday.
Don't take vacation.
We've been working, with the anticipation that this is going to happen, and we're doing all of the groundwork for the last 3 years. We're ready to go.
Are you going to have a big ceremony?
It's up to you.
Why not?
Yeah,
So Brian, you're gonna,
yeah.
motion,
Motion.
second, Bergdorf.
Can say something?
Point of clarification.
Any reason that-
Mr. Frankie, can you just clarify that for the backup, the deductions that are listed are included in the full amount? All those items that are in the backup are a part of that full cost of 60?
Right. The total project cost that was submitted by Jerson as part of the bid process was $69,400,000. Within that, we included in our RFP alternate deducts, and if we took them out of the project, how much savings would they be to us? Those items are part of this submission, and it's also part of the $69,400,000. So the answer is yes, they're all in there, they're alternate deducts. If we use all of them, then it's still $69,400,000. If we take them out, if we took everyone out, it would be a savings of around $980,000.
Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
All right, so,
No, Larry,
Motion
go
by-
ahead. No, I didn't have a
motion
motion.
by Brian, seconded by Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I just wanted to ask a
Approved,
question on your
approved.
motion. I was wondering if will we ever see the $83 million included in this May the 24th paper that you have? Will you change your number there, or will it always stay?
The May
64?
24th, the
Letter.
$69,400,000 is part of that $83 million.
Well, will 83 million, instead of me writing it on here, will it be
Sean, will that
typed
go in
in
the
there by
capital
you?
plan
Okay.
ultimately? With
What-
that,
yeah.
the adjusted,
Adjusted amount.
because we've got the 16 million or whatever, the 4 and the 12,
69.
It's all in there.
plus the new amount.
Would you?
She's asking, when are we gonna see,
The
this is
appropriated
the
amount.
cost of the new
Yes.
remodeled nursing home.
In a letter
Minus the
form.
vehicles that are
Yeah.
coming next year.
Type it in here, instead of me writing it.
When you certify,
What happens is this, that as the project moves along and the dollars are being spent based on our approvals, we submit certified cost reports to the New York State Department of Health. Those items that we can complete during the construction, we have a right, that's it.
Right, so I understand,
Yeah.
we have different funding streams going here, but it does get, here's a place on the capital
On the
plan.
capital plan
where it's
is written in.
consolidated And you can see the grand total, pretty much,
Right.
minus the 350,000 for the vehicle replacement,
Correct.
which is being proposed for next year.
2020.
Okay?
Okay.
So 83,800,000 minus 0.35. Thanks. So we had the vote, so
Let's move it.
we're done. We're done. Mr. Clay.
Quick question. Larry, where, you're getting ready to put the shovel into the ground. Now, where does Gilbane, where does they fit into this?
Gilbane's the construction manager.
This
Okay.
This is a bid.
They oversee
Capital plan.
the construction company
Capital plan,
and
you need a copy of
the entire project.
Okay.
Tim.
You know, we have the PLA agreement, and I'd like to know where that is in relationship to this whole project.
Okay. I don't, how would we, I mean, I think that is monitored internally by the county, and they're meeting with to make sure that they adhere as close to the numbers as possible that are in that PLA and the agreement that you worked on. So yes, that's being addressed. Gilbane is part of it. Jerson has to be part of it. It's their company. They do the hiring. And then we have internal people that work for the county itself that monitor those percentages that are supposed to be adhered to or try to reach. Probably be a better word.
While we have Larry and Sean here, we do 15, authorizing an agreement with Comprehensive Healthcare Solutions, regarding billing and debt services.
I'd like to talk to you about that later. I have the same
Last month,
concerns.
we presented and we received approval to outsource, I think 2 months ago when we actually received approval, to outsource receivables to Comprehensive Healthcare Solutions. And that same agreement and approval, we received we received approval for 15% of dollars received from bad debt. At that time, we did not know how much, or have really an approximation of how much dollars we possibly could recover going back 2 years, because the books had to be rewritten. Comprehensive finished that work approximately a month ago. They guesstimate that if we received every single dollar that's outstanding, it would be approximately $4.5 million. 15% of that is $650,000. So we're coming to the legislature to say that we have this estimate, and it's only an estimate, and the exposure as we look at it today would be, if they collect every penny of $4.3 million, we would have to pay them $650,000. If it turns out that there's less, then they're not going to get $650,000. They're only going to get 15% of what we have in hand. It has to be, that's the way the agreement's written. The money has to be in our bank for them to get the 15%. There is also, under Medicaid billing requirements or regulations, that you could go back a total of 6 years if in fact it was billed and billed incorrectly. Once we finish the 2 years, we're now going to look back even further and try to collect every single dollar that's due the county. And if that is the case, and it turns out that there's adjustment to be made, then I would come back and say, we collected 4.3, we feel there's another million out there, but let's see if we can get to this number right now.
Julianne?
I just have a question. I know that OMED,
Office of Medicaid Inspector General?
right. Now, the state receives none of this money?
Say that again?
Let me ask you a question. Does the state receive any of these recovered funds?
The money that we're billing for is for services rendered by Albany County Nursing Home that could have been billed incorrectly to the wrong provider, may not have been billed, and that money we're seeking to collect. And we're allowed to go back 2 years.
But none of it goes back to the state?
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm just checking.
No.
So they don't get a share of the, it's a good question.
Question?
Paul?
I'm just curious, obviously you have an annual budget. How much do you have, how much of this is found money as a one-shot that accrues to the benefit of the nursing home? Because I assume you don't have a line that says, hey, we're going to get $4.3 million this year, less $650,000.
So your expense part of that would be handled out of your purchase services for up to whatever, I think
Up
it's
to
about
600.
200,000, one-third, because this is a 3-year contract.
Yeah, they have a 3-year contract now. It's around 100, it's
Okay.
not around, it's 198,000.
And for what period is that?
The contract started January 1st of this year.
Okay.
It's for 3 years, 198,000 a year. This dollar amount is outside that. This is only for bad debt collection prior to them being retained by us.
Has any of this been recovered to date?
Yes,
Do we know how much that is?
approximately $1.2 million.
And so that money's back in our account?
It's in our account,
Where'd it count? Where's it going?
our account, the nursing home's account.
Okay, so far, there's 1 million, 1 point, so far, there's $1.1 million. Did you budget any of that, or is this just a nice rainy day fund?
It's,
You have budgeted for debt
Buying-
collection, yes.
yeah,
Buying cars.
why don't you explain it?
Buying a car.
We make a reasonable assumption that you're gonna have some debt collection.
Right.
And that purchase services, within the line purchase services, there's funding in that for the amount that has already been collected.
I'm not worried about what we're expending. I'm not worried about spending $650,000 to get back 4.3 million. What I'm trying to figure out is how much of the 4.3 million less expenses is found money to your balance sheet.
Sounds like the whole thing.
The majority of it would be.
The majority of it would
This is a
be,
good
because
thing.
it's going to the balance sheet. So this is money that from prior years,
Yeah.
where you may have expended showed a greater loss, because things may not have been billed the way they should have. Now you're collecting that money, and now you're really making up for a previous loss.
Right.
But it's showing up now, you know,
I
as a.
I understand. This is a good thing.
So the taxpayers that paid for that shortfall are now going to be recompensed, right?
Yes.
Mr. Mendick?
Yeah, this is more of an accounting question, so that I fully understand, and we talk about these are bad debt collections. But let me just also make sure that I understand, it's not only bad debt collections, but it's also recovery of incorrect billing.
Correct.
That never hits your income statement.
Well, it would hit your income statement when we do our audited financials, your billing, which is done per your census, it would hit there.
But what I'm hearing is that there's some incorrect billing, so this would be additional billing that's coming out now for something that was incurred in the past, and therefore that's going to be additional accounts receivable or revenue coming in to the stream.
In many cases,
In many cases.
yes.
The other question is, the other side of that coin is the bad debt, that you must have now written off a portion of that bad debt. What is your current bad debt reserve level?
I'd have to get back to you, I don't know what your
Okay.
latest financial
I don't
statement
know.
has.
Actually,
Mine's-
we're supposed to get it any day now.
Okay.
Our latest financials are due any day.
Because then it's a recovery of that, and that comes
Yeah,
right
you're
back
right,
onto your income
allowance.
statement. Okay, thank you.
It's true.
Any other questions? Motion? Brian, second by Willingham, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you so
work.
much.
We have a handout on 16,
Thank you.
16.
which is authorizing the conveyance of real property, 288 Troy Schenectady Road in the town of Colony.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is a basic sale back for taxes owed. We wanted to preserve an existing business in place. I believe the handout you're getting is a request letter for the property, as well as confirmation that we have certified funds. It is a sale back to the existing owner, or former owner, technically, sorry.
So this is for 14,000 something?
That's correct. It's the full amount of delinquency, interest and penalties that had accrued on the property. The individual will be responsible for paying for any further amount that accrues between the date at which they dropped off that check and the time at which they close if authorized.
Move it.
So it's simply irresistible to move this.
Yes.
Mr. Higgins?
Move it.
Second? Second. Mr. Dillingham, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Simple,
That was the Simply Irresistible Salon at 288 Troy Schenectady Road, Lakeville. 17, authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 249 Colony Street in the city of Albany.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we request authorization to do a private sale to an abutting property owner. The reason we are entertaining this transfer is because there is an attached appraisal and the individual offered appraised amount.
Move it.
It also appears, well, it doesn't appear, we know
Move
they've
it,
been
Mr. Higgins,
maintaining
second. Mr. Bergdorf,
property as
all those
is.
in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. 18, authorizing the conveyance of real property located in the city of Albany, 171 and 173 Third Avenue to the Albany County Land Bank Corporation. Questions? Motions? Mr. Higgins, Mr. O'Brien. Favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous. 19, authorizing the conveyance of various parcels of real property to the Albany County Land Bank Corporation. Question, Mr. Higgins.
Yeah, what is the hotel on here that's valued at $500,000 in the
Governor's Inn.
Wow, that's a throwback.
Does anybody know the property owner in question? I didn't realize that.
I used to own a pizza parlor that delivered pizzas there.
Mr. Just a quick point of clarification, that's just the assessed value, doesn't mean that's the actual value.
What'd you say, Sean?
Well, we used to get strange requests to bring stuff to the governor's
by the town of
motor.
Gilroy?
Yeah, it's not. We have to go with their assessment is, but it's in rough shape.
Structurally, I mean, are we looking
It's
at
not
any?
structurally unsound. If it was structurally unsound, I would have hoped that the locality would have identified that. And a portion of the property has been demolished, the other portion isn't, so I'm going under the assumption that the locality has deemed the other portion safe structurally.
Okay. Just curious.
This is one of the famous eyesores in the town of Guilderland. Anything that the land bank can do to remove that eyesore from the fine people who have to travel on Western Ave every day would be much appreciated.
I'll be sure to pass that on to Mrs. Ranko.
Motion by Mr. Grimm. Second by O'Brien. You have your own views. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. What are we on, 20? Last one, folks. Authorizing corrections to the tax rolls for the town of Newt, Scotland.
Move it.
Mr. Higgins, second. Mr. O'Brien, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Motion to adjourn?
We used to get calls